Well,
Go ahead. Go ahead, Everett. Go ahead.
okay. What do you want me to say? Like, I was just
I don't
messing.
know. You say you thought you were gonna say something. Can I just do my? I'll do my intro, and then you can say what you're gonna say. So this is episode 5 of Simple Man Wrestling Podcast. We have a special guest today. It's with Everett Pratt. Everett, I have a timer. I'm gonna give you 2 minutes and 30 seconds to tell us what you do. Ready?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say go.
Go.
You just said ready, and I was like, I was waiting for the
I
go.
thought about bringing my whistle and go and then start. We can do a whistle
Yeah,
starts. Go ahead.
yeah. I work for a software company down in Central or Southern California. The owner was a wrestler, D1 wrestler. He hires a bunch of wrestlers, and so I work with a lot of computers and math. Is what I do. I help old people with computers and math. If you need help with computers and math, um, I'm probably helping you. If you know a CPA, I've probably helped them with math or computers. But that's kind of the gist of what I do, helping old people with their computers and math.
So Everett, what if somebody needs to get a hold of you? What is your personal phone number?
um, yeah, if you need to get a hold of me, you can DM me on something. And if you don't know where to DM me, I guess we're not close enough for that.
Well, Everett, what if you're old and you don't know what a DM means, or you don't have those platforms to communicate via DM?
Yeah, if you're really old and you don't know what any of that means, get a hold of someone that knows me and they'll give you my number. Or you can you know,
Well, the only people ever that really watch this are people that we know. So you should just give out your number right now.
yeah, yeah. Well, if if you need my number, you can find it somehow. Just reach out. But yeah, my number. This
Okay.
is I'm not giving it
All
out.
right. Okay. I have your number. I'll just post it when I post this.
Everett, isn't your company like also attached to another pretty well-known popular company as well?
Yes, it is actually. So you guys probably know Wrestling Mart. All wrestling all the time is the slogan.
Can you do one of these where you show us?
Oh yeah, check
Actually,
it
Everett,
out.
why don't you just get up and do a little spin?
Yeah, you know what? You want to see when you want to do a fit check, guys? We can do a fit check. All right, so I'm rocking today. So this custom quarter zip that I did when I used to work for this company, it's for us for Cal State Bakersfield. I got a CSUD shirt underneath from back in the day.
That's an old shirt.
This is a throwback.
That's a 2016, 27.
Dude, no, that's
No.
before us.
Yeah, that's like a
So I had that
2013.
shirt. I went camping, and I'm my dumb brain. What I was having was hot in my hand, so I put the shirt on it to think it was gonna be less hot, and it ended up melting. It ended up melting.
Okay.
The sleeve melted.
Yeah, no, I got this my freshman year, I think. Crazy.
Yeah,
Is
2013.
there a crazy story?
No, it's just crazy that I'm able to fit it. That's all I was gonna say.
Yeah. Well, you put on weight and then you lost weight, right?
Yeah, I go in cycles a little bit. I'm pretty good at not gaining like a crazy amount of weight, I guess. I mean, I've obviously gained weight since college. I think most people do. But I don't know. I get to the point where like if like someone's like, "Dang, dude, you've gained a lot of weight," then I'm like, "Dang, I have," and then I'll go and like get pretty serious about working out, and I'll lose it. And so that's pretty much how that goes for me. So just shame me enough, and I'll lose it.
Yeah. So what do you have underneath that t-shirt?
It's just skin.
Hmm. Sean, I called him earlier. So I called Everett like I don't know, maybe like 40 minutes ago. I'm like, hey, do you want to come on? And he's like, oh, well, I'm naked right now. I'm like, bro, like
This dude called me literally right.
bro. Like, you need to,
I
it's
had
not that
just
kind of
got
show,
undressed.
Everett.
He called me like maybe half a minute after I just got done like showering. I was like undressed, just got out of the shower. Like he called me like half a minute right after I got out, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay. So
Timing was impeccable.
it was, yeah. That's for the other platform, that stuff. Uh, After
Well, you
dark.
can't. I don't want you shouting out that platform on here. So
I
let's move
wasn't
on.
gonna say it. That was I was
Uh,
not
really
gonna say
quick.
it.
So just how did you get the job at Wrestling Mart?
Yeah, so again, the owner was an alum from my high school. For anyone who doesn't know, I went to Monte Vista High School down in San Diego. The owner was a state champion out of that school back in the day. And so my junior year, my junior year at the state meet, I randomly ran into him. So if you've never been to the Monte Vista wrestling room, there's a bunch of pictures on the wall. And so we have, if you win a
I've never
CIF
been,
title,
so thank you for
oh
telling
yeah,
me.
so
I
yeah,
live
so
in San Diego, and I think I've been in there once.
really, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I say if you win a CIF title, you get your picture on the wall, and if you place that state, you get your picture on the wall. Like I said, he was a state champion, and so like growing up in that room, you see these pictures every single day during practice. You know the names really well because you see them every day. And so when I ran into him, one of our coaches was like, "Hey, do you know who that is?" And of course I don't know him because these pictures are from when like people are 18, 17 years old. This man at the time had to been in like his 50s. But he says the name, Mike Applegate, and I'm like, "Oh, of course I know the name. I see his picture every single day." And so I talked to him there my junior year. And then his youngest son, Joe Applegate, who wrestled at Laguna Hills at the time, ended up going to Cal Poly. As you guys know, I went to Cal State Bakersfield, so I would see him at dual meets whenever we go against Cal Poly. And he'd always talk to me, introduce me to people, and always like, "Hey, this guy, he went to the same high school as me." And then he would see me at tournaments and things like that. So he'd always, talk to me, say hi, introduce me to whoever he was with. And then my senior year, after season had ended, but before school was out, he got a hold of Manny, who, if you don't know, Manny Rivera was the head coach
Manny
at the
who?
time. I just said it. Manny Rivera was the head coach at the time. And so he got a hold of him, asked Manny for my contact. And then I went on like a series of interviews where I was 100% sure I didn't get the job or I wasn't going to get
Yeah.
the job.
Can I pause you right there just for a second? So the way to get your number is you have to basically ask somebody that already has your number for it. You don't
Yes,
get just give it out.
I don't.
Got it.
Yeah. But
That might make it tough, dude. Like if you're out on the town and a lady is like, dude, like what's your number? You're like, talk to my guy Sean. Fine. Sorry. Anyways, continue.
I've had that happen.
You end up getting the job.
Yeah, well, it was kind of funny. So, the company I work for now is a software company. Like I said, finance software. I do a lot of math. And so, after a series of interviews, Mike gave me the option to pick between the two companies, the wrestling one or the software company. And to his surprise, I chose the software company. He was really shocked. And then, but they were short staffed. It was wrestling season. He was like, "Hey, I know you chose the software company, but can you help out with the wrestling one for like 3 months? And then, you'll start the software one." And then 3 months turned into 3 years.
Dude, you're a funny guy, man. I feel like I'll just go places, and maybe it's a little bit less now just because you're not doing Wrestling Mart anymore. But it would be like I'd be talking about something, and then like somehow one person in that group just happens to know you. Oh, I know Everett Pratt. Yeah, I talked to him. He's a cool guy.
That's
Like,
funny.
you are like you're like the most well-known unknown person that I know.
That's the joke with my friends from back home is that anytime we go out anywhere in the state, out of the state, doesn't matter. We will run into one person at least that like I randomly know somehow. A mutual of ours was telling me, you guys know Jose, like he was in Mexico and somehow I don't know how I guess my name came up and like people were like, "Yo, I know that guy."
Brad?
Yeah.
I gotta be careful with the accents. I don't want to get canceled on our 5th episode, but
Yeah.
I don't think Brian knows who Jose is, by the way.
I know who's Jose.
You know Jose?
Yeah.
You
I don't know
know,
his last name, but he works at Wrestling Mart and he's on your coaching staff. Is that
Yeah.
Jose? Yeah, I know who Jose
that's
is.
the
I
one.
talked to him at the tournament, Sean. I talked to the man. I was like, Jose.
There's a lot of Jose's, and he didn't really specify.
He has glasses. He used to have long hair. Now he shaved his head. At World Challenge, his head was shaved.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Jose.
Yeah, that guy.
That's Jose.
Yeah, but that's our little joke is when we go out, we'll find one person. So it happens.
Well, Everett,
Sean.
you're probably the most popular unpopular person in the state of California. So
Yeah, that's like a different way of saying what I said earlier.
yeah.
I thought that was what you said earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, enough about Everett. Sean, you're wearing a North Dakota State University sweatshirt. Are you just like hood hopping? Or are you just a fan of them now, or what? What's the reasoning behind wearing that sweatshirt?
Well, at one point in my college wrestling career, I lived with Everett Pratt,
Uh-huh.
and we shared a roommate named Lorenzo De La Riva, who wrestled at Folsom High School and wrestled with us at Cal State Bakersfield until he transferred to North Dakota State. I think he was there for 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. I was gonna say maybe 3, but definitely 2. And he hooked me up with a sweater, so I'll wear it from time to time.
Yeah, and I think I think news wise, Roger Kish just got his 100th career win for coaching duels.
That's
Hey,
pretty
congrats
good.
to Kish. He's a cool guy. I've hung out with him before. I like him.
You're friends with him?
I wouldn't say we're friends. We've had a drink together. Me and some other coaches. He's
I think
cool.
that means you're friends.
Does he
I
have your
guess
phone number?
actually I think he might actually.
Call him right now.
I'm not calling Kish.
Maybe we can try to get Kish on. I think
This is
Kish
going to
would
be
come
our
on. I've talked
first
to Kish
division.
before.
This is going to be our first Division 1 coach on the program ever. Call him.
No, I'm not just
Not
randomly
call
gonna
him.
reach
Well,
out.
right now it's like 10 o'clock there.
Yeah. He's like
So it's a
married
little
with
late.
kids, right? He's probably like in bed or something.
Winners never sleep.
True.
JJ Watt slips a lot, man. He's pretty good. I bet. Well, I mean, if we're just gonna listen to just whatever popular sayings, I mean, top down in the winter. That's what winners do. You know, I think Drake said that. Dude, you put your top down in the winter, you're gonna catch a cold, player, and then you might be sick, and then you might not be at your best. So really, Sean, kind of just blew up your whole argument right there, bud.
I really wish I had a saying, but I don't. I have nothing to say right now.
Cold world.
Oh, that was a good one. I like it.
Everett, are you still coaching?
So yeah, last year I was coaching my first time since college, being like a full-time coach, which was cool. But this year's a little bit more difficult. My schedule makes it a little hard. I also prefer the volunteer coaching position, the guy that kind of comes in as he pleases and leaves. Nothing against coaching. Coaching was great, but there's a lot of responsibility that goes into coaching, which I knew ahead of time. And I kind of like just doing my own thing, and it's fun. And I like working with kids that really want to get better. And obviously, like it's a little different when you have a full team and you got to motivate the team. And there's just so many other things that goes on with coaching, as you guys know. You got to make sure your kids are not just good athletes, but you want to make sure they're good people. They're at the right place at the right time. You got to stay on top of that. You got to stay on top of their grades. Make sure they're staying out of trouble. Got to deal with the parents. Got to deal with administration. And so it's not just like a common mistake is a lot of people think it's, oh, do you just teach the kids some moves and you go home, you go to tournaments? But it's like, no, there's just so much more involved with coaching. And again, you guys both know that better than I do. You guys have been doing it longer than me. So
So Everett, question. I actually have 2 follow-up questions for you. So first one, do you still do like privates?
I haven't done any so far, like recently at least. I used to do a decent amount, and there were kids that, like I said, if you want to do extra work, then I have no issue doing extra, or like I would go to show up and practice in time for live, do live, and then whoever wants to stay behind and work on whatever it may be.
So if somebody wants to get some extra mat time with you, how do they get a hold of you?
Oh my God. You're killing me, Brian.
Yeah. Well, I don't give out my number to kids. First of all,
just tweet at him. It's Pratimus Prime.
It's Pratimus Prime. I was just say get your parent to get a hold of me. I don't text kids. I think that's really weird. Especially since I'm not a coach either. That'd be even extra weird. So yeah, get your parents, get them to get a hold of me the same way that everyone else gets a hold of me. Find someone that already has my number, and asked them for it. And then, yeah.
So you started coaching at South, right? You weren't anywhere else before you were coaching for the youth program?
Yeah, that was my first time officially like coaching.
Did you guys coach there together at one point or no?
Mm-hmm.
No, it was,
Wait.
well, that first year was like
Everett said
Sergio and
no,
I,
and
and then
Brian said yes.
Ryan came on a little bit later. Oh yeah, I forgot. He came on later in the
What
year.
was the question? Can you say the question again, Sean?
Did you guys coach at South at the same time?
Yeah.
And then you want to answer that again, Everett? We did coach at the same time. Did we start at the same time? No, but we coached at the same time.
Yeah, we did do that. It was a cool experience between the three of us. By three of us, I mean Sergio Mendez was also there, our little crew. We had fun.
And then Russell got there, and so did Jacob Thalen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. By the time those guys were there, I was done and had moved back to San Diego. But
And now Russell's coaching a Division I program, Wyoming.
he is. Yeah, he's a volunteer, or no, he's a grad assistant for Wyoming.
Yeah, that's legit.
That is dope. He's also doing schooling the right way, where you're a grad assistant and you get it paid for.
Yeah, I think that was my rationale for not getting my master's at first. I was like, well, at some point I'll be a grad assistant and someone will just pay for my master's and I'll get to coach. But then I just like kind of say, now I'm going to keep coaching high school and I'm masterless.
Hey, dude, you and me both. I also do not have a master's, unfortunately. One day we'll get our masters. Maybe we'll go together.
Yeah.
We'll go back to school together.
Yeah, I don't really like being tied down.
Oh, I understand that, dude. It's okay. You don't. I mean, I'm just throwing the suggestion out there, right? It's cool. You don't have to. I don't want you to feel pressured. Is this an open invitation?
That would be the worst thing is just that weight, just kind of holding me down.
Yeah, no, I get that. A lot of people need their free space. They need to be able to spread their wings and fly, and I truly understand that. And like I said, I'm just throwing the offer out there. I'm trying to be courteous. If you want to go back and get it with me, that'll be cool. If not,
I think we would get our masters in different things.
I mean, it's possible. Get in whatever. Maybe I'll get mine in business this time. Maybe I'll do math or something. I don't know.
Sean, did you ever finish your bachelor's?
Yeah. Considering starting on my master's, but I'm just still thinking about it. I'm in no rush, really.
What would be the benefit as working as a police officer?
Promotability.
So if you just have a master's, you're gonna be better at your job.
No, but if like it was me versus another guy for a position, and we both had very similar training and experience and similar qualities, but I have a master's degree and that person maybe has a bachelor's or an AA, could swing the pendulum in one direction. Could not. I don't know.
What would you get your master's in?
That's a great question. I don't know. I'd probably look at something that would help in terms of like leadership or something down that road, like involving, communication with people, public speaking, stuff like that. Cause that's kind of where, when you start working up the ranks, that's kind of the direction you start going in. Less police work, more having to delegate and talk to people and solve the real issues,
You become like the face, right? Of the
Yeah,
department.
you're not really so much the boots on the ground anymore.
That makes sense. Yeah. You become the face. You're the one that, is on the news and doing the press conferences and talking to folks and, delegating, like you said.
Babies and,
Shaking hands. Yeah.
Get a little
Asking
office.
for donations.
Run for political office.
No.
Dude, I mean, we could all run. I mean, you have to be at 25 to be a senator, or not a senator, a representative.
Oh yeah, the youngest one ever just won in Florida recently. I forgot about that. 25.
Everett, have you ever thought about running for political office?
I would refuse.
You what?
I would never.
You would never. But the argument is though, is the people that maybe don't want to but should, or are the right people for the job because you wouldn't abuse your power.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think that politics are corrupt. Politicians are corrupt. I have no interest in running for any type of office. I think I don't know. I have no interest. I think that there's a lot of things that I think we could do better to make life better for everyone. But hey, um, I'm not gonna run for office still. I think there's what I don't know. I have a lot of ideas, but running for office isn't one of them.
Let's talk about freaking wrestling. How about that?
Dude, I got something I want to
Talk
talk
about
about wrestling related, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, throw it out there.
Okay,
Throw it out
so
there, Everett.
one
How
thing
about you? How about you interview us, Everett?
okay, I mean we can do that too. I had a wrestling related topic, but I can interview, I guess.
Usually,
Let's hear about your
you run the
topic.
show. Everett,
Let's hear about your topic, Everett.
Let's
Well,
change.
what are we doing?
Let's change our name from Simple Man Wrestling Podcast to the Everett Pratt Show.
Okay, I'm sorry, my bad. I'm the guest.
We'll
My
be the
bad.
special guest.
That would sell
I'm
A
so
lot of people know
sorry.
Everett.
in
We
Mexico.
can probably find some pictures too. Put up a paywall.
The amount of thumbnails I have on my phone that we could use.
yeah. Dude, I wish I had the one with him on the tricycle pulled up, ready to go, man.
I'm gonna tell one last story before we get into wrestling. Okay.
Well, you tell a story, I'll tell a story.
Okay.
2 more stories, max.
Everett and I are living together in college.
I think I know what story this is gonna be.
Which
I would
house?
get
It's this second house, not the Keithway house.
all right. You tell the story and I'll tell you if I was right.
And it's like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. I don't even know if it was a weekend or a weekday or whatnot, but all I remember is I had to go to the bathroom.
Okay, I know the story. Yep.
And I hear music coming from the bathroom, like loud music playing, but the lights are off because you could see under the door. The door's closed. I could see under the door. There's no light on in the bathroom. So I'm like, why is there music on in this bathroom if the lights are off? That's weird. So I open the door. Of course, it's not locked, right? And inside this bathroom, Everett brought a miniature light up like revolving disco ball that shoots colors all over the bathroom walls. And he's playing music with it. And he's showering. And I was so confused. I just closed the door and walked away.
You felt like you were interrupting something. It was like, dude,
I was like,
club going on.
I just ruined his show.
I knew that was the story you were gonna tell too. I knew.
It's like, no matter what you see or what you do,
I'd rather be with you.
Oh, that was one of my
classic.
favorite. That was one of my favorite.
I got
There's
one.
a video of that somewhere.
I got one. So Firestone is kind of the spot, like, and that I thought about it when you talked about, that's kind of where you stopped yesterday when you were in town, and remind me of when Everett would kind of pass through Bakersfield. We would meet up sometimes at Firestone, and the first time, it's like, hey, I'm gonna be, I think he sent out like a group chat, or he put something in the group chat just saying, I'm gonna be in town if anybody wants to, hang out. It's just me and the Wrestling Mart guys. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll go meet up with you, and we kind of, we plan out, what time you're approximately going to be in town, because they make us stop, and when they have tournaments in Fresno or anything that's north, obviously at Bakersfield, they drive back through it on their way down to San Diego, and you sit down, or so I go to Firestone, and I walk in, and I'm kind of looking, and I think it's just going to be like the Wrestling Mart people. And it was the Wrestling Mart people. It was, Nate Morgan and, Everett Pratt. And then I'm not sure if Jose was there, and then there was somebody else. And then it was the entire Morgan family, Sean.
The
Like,
Morgan
I
family?
don't know how many people ever, like 10 or 12 people.
It was like Nate's siblings and his parents.
So it wasn't like really the Wrestling Mart people. It was like Nate hanging out with his family and like Everett.
Well, I didn't expect him to invite his family.
Huh?
I didn't know he was gonna tell his whole family until after I'd already
So I was like, I walk in and like, I kind of know, it's Larry Morgan. I kind of
Yeah,
know him
Larry.
just like, cause just being around town and wrestling and stuff. Like, so I'm like, oh, hey guys, I'm just here to hang out with Everett. Sorry to intrude, which I don't think I was intruding, but I was like, oh, it's a family gathering. So I mean, it was whatever. Like, I hung out and it was fine. And then the next time, Everett, I don't know. I think you hit me up directly, or you're something like, hey, I'm going to be back in town if you want to go. We have a Firestone, and I'm like, I mean, is the whole Morgan family going to be there? Because like, I'm not saying I was awkward, but I was just like, I didn't want to like intrude on their family thing because they're catching up with Nate and they probably haven't seen him in a while, and that's when he gets to spend time with his family. And he's like, no. It's just, I think it was just me and Nate, and I think that was it. And I'm like, okay. So I go meet up, and I walk in, and I go to find a table, and it's Nate, it's Everett, and then it's Nate's parents.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, dang it. I'm like,
Hey, if Nate gets to invite people, I gotta invite.
hanging out, it's like, I know you want to see your son, but I'm just going to sit down at the table too and hang out. So we did that. So I don't remember if there was another time where you like came through. I was like, is it just you this time, Everett?
I mean, I just feel like if Nate's gonna invite people, I should invite people, and I'm not their kid either. So technically, by that logic, I would be intruding as well. That's all I'm saying.
By that logic, you would be intruding, but you're just there.
Yeah, I mean, we drove together, so I don't really have an option. But
It's like, I'll go to that table over here.
by myself, just at a table. I mean, hey, I don't know. His family is cool. I don't know his brother as well. I've talked to him like once or twice, Jacob, but his sister, mom, and dad are cool. They're nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure they didn't mind at all. But yeah. Fun times, with my friends. We should do more fun stuff. Like
I agree. I mean, this is fun too. We're talking about life, and we're talking about wrestling. That's a segue, Sean. You want to talk about wrestling now?
About time.
Okay, go ahead. You're looking so bored over there, man. You're on your phone.
I was pulling up brackets.
I was actually gonna bring up wrestling, and then that's the story.
Everett, let's talk about whatever wrestling topic you had.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say something.
And no rabbit holes. We're not going down any side tunnels.
Is modern day wrestling, college wrestling, actually something that I found kind of interesting. You guys might be a little bit more in tune to what's going on in college wrestling, so maybe this is interesting to me or surprising me, but it's not surprising you guys. But I don't know. Did you guys watch the duel this past week between this weekend Oklahoma State and Oklahoma duel, and last weekend Iowa and Iowa State duel? And I watched those duel meets.
Mm-hmm.
And all I was gonna say is I was really surprised with how competitive those duels were. Nothing against Iowa State and the University of Oklahoma, but both of those duels came down to the last match. Iowa State had a lot of young guys that got wins. Oklahoma had some guys that pulled up upsets, and I was just thinking in my head, there's a lot of these teams that aren't traditionally top 10 type of teams, that are still good. No one thinks of Iowa State and the University of Oklahoma as bad schools, but we're not thinking of them either. No offense, at the same level as Iowa or Oklahoma State, that are they're catching up. They're very competitive. These duels are coming down to the last match, and so I was just thinking about how interesting that is. A lot of these schools that have traditionally been decent teams are right there in there. These are matches where it's duels where any team can win now, whereas before, you watch Iowa versus Iowa State, you feel like Iowa's is going to destroy them, or Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State, you feel like Oklahoma State's for sure going to win. You're not, oh my gosh, this is the final match. Dang. And so
I disagree in terms of those those for sure things. I mean, if you've been paying attention, I don't know if you've been paying attention, man.
I said I haven't.
Iowa State has been coming along very well. Okay? They've had really good recruiting classes. Yeah. I think currently they're ranked 3rd in the country as a team, according to Flow rankings. A lot of guys, a lot of young freshmen that are going to be superstars, if not this year, in the years to come. If you look at, the story between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, normally they have Bedlam twice a year. They have one Oklahoma and they have one Oklahoma State. This year they're just having one. And I know there was a lot of fireworks that duel. Fortunately, I have a job during the day, And sometimes I try to sneak some wrestling in. Hopefully my administrator does not find that as a bad thing. But sometimes it just comes on, and I don't know how I got there. And I watched part of the Penn State Oregon State duel.
Yeah.
And I watched the first few weight classes. And then that was even competitive. Like I'm trying to think. Roman Bravo Young got taken down by Gabe Weisenhunt. And that was a pretty clean takedown. It was just like a high crotch to a double. And then Roman Bravo Young tried to hit that little roll through thing that he does. And Gabe Weisenhunt just like stopped him and almost got back points. So Roman Bravo Young had to bail. But if you look at Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, I mean, Lou Roselli, I think, is doing a pretty good job. I think there was maybe some higher expectations by some because of, the kind of person that he is what he's done. He wrestled at Edinburgh. He was a guy that I want to say he won 3 or 4 U.S. Opens. And then he coached at Ohio State, coached up Stieber and coached up Snyder and those guys. And they won Pac-12s, or sorry, not Pac-12s, Big 12s 2 years ago, I think. And Oklahoma State, I mean, they're down a little bit too, but the same thing. I mean, they got Carter Young. They still have Dayton Fix. I think it's Travis Whitlake. They have Dustin Plott. They have some really good guys still. Voinovich, I think is his name. I mean, they got some good guys still. But, I mean, you talk about rivalries, man. Like rivalries are harder than I think normal duels just because of the competitiveness between the coaches, the expectation from the fans. Like, I think that's maybe the connection between both those duels that you're talking about. These are rivalries, man. There's passion. And I was just thinking today, we're wrestling South tomorrow, and I'm giving them, again, I hope I don't think they'll care, but I'm giving some extra credit out if you go to the duel, right? And part of it is there's some passion, man. Like, I want to beat those guys. I care about those kids, and, we coached them. We knew them when they were little, right? But, I want to beat them up. I want to steamroll them. And I was talking to my students, and they're like, I don't know, I watched wrestling before, and it's kind of boring. And I'm like, all right, listen. I was like, listen, kid, okay? Like you play soccer, right? Yeah. I'm like, all right, you play soccer? Like, do you feel like people watch soccer and they think it's boring? Yeah. I'm like, okay, when is soccer not boring? And I'm like, it's when somebody flops. It's when there's this huge buildup and somebody scores a goal and you just see this passion, right? And the crowd erupts. Like, if you don't know anything about the sport, it's when you see passion come out. That's what gets people going, man. That's what gets people going. And that's what we want out of these big events. Like, that's what Dual Meets brings. It happens at tournaments, but it's not as concentrated. When you have one mat and you have a crowd that's getting riled up and fired up, man, that's what really makes it entertaining for just the common people. You don't have to know anything about wrestling, but you recognize fight, you recognize passion, you recognize people getting after it. You don't need to know the skill or techniques to enjoy that. And where can you see that? You see in a dual meet where there's some competition where people are like, I'm going to go out and stick this guy, right? That's when you really see it.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you on that. And I mean,
No, Brian hit it right on the head. I think Iowa and Oklahoma State, the way we always, knew of them and always have thought of them are top of the food chain, right? I think Iowa's still up there. Obviously, Iowa State and University of Oklahoma were not quite at the top of that line yet, but Iowa State's come so far, and I think they've closed the gap from where they were, say, when we were in school to where they're at now. Oklahoma, I'd say they've closed the gap a little bit, but I think the closeness, the tightness in that duel between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State is more so because of how far Oklahoma State has dropped. I don't think they're quite what they were a few years ago. And so that's why I think we're seeing those close matches. I actually predicted Iowa State to win the duel against Iowa. I thought they would. I wasn't anticipating. Yeah, that's an L. I wasn't anticipating.
Wait, we bet something.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did.
Oh, we did. We did match.
That's recorded, brother.
Yeah, we did match.
You owe me a burrito.
We didn't. We bet on who was going to win, like each individual match.
No, I think we bet on the outcome of the duel. All this stuff is recorded, man. It's on tape. You owe me a burrito. Man,
So
Everett,
I
want one like this.
Ooh, yeah, I need
It's not. Everett and I don't have a thing. If you know whoever it is, he always posts burritos the size of his forearm.
I
He
do.
makes it weird. I'm not making it weird. It's just a reference to something we know. It's an inside thing.
It's an inside joke.
Dylan,
San Diego
and you
makes really big
know, but
burritos.
everyone else, maybe you'll be a part of it someday. Maybe you watch this and then you do some investigations and then you'll know. But
Go to San Diego and get Mexican food. That's all I have to say.
yeah, so Sean,
Best Mexican food in the state.
Doc, you guys aren't going to Zinkin, right?
No, we fly to Reno on Thursday.
Right. So Doc B, I expect a burrito.
All right, I got you. I don't think I lost, but all right. It's fine.
You can go back. You can prove
You can go
your
back
innocence.
if you want a burrito.
I'm a thick
Hey,
guy.
are
Man.
there good burritos in Clovis? That's
No.
my question. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll find something.
Dude,
It's not like
there
San Diego.
are good burritos, like if you know where to look. There's good food. There's good Hispanic food if you know where to look. Like, and it might not be like a major restaurant, but like, dude, I was driving. So we had 2 tournaments going on last weekend. We had the Coyote Classic at East Bakersfield, and then we had a JV tournament at Foothill. And after the varsity tournament ended, the JV one was still going on. I just drove. It was like 9 minutes away. Dude, I'm driving down the east side, and dude, there was like a dirt lot, and they got freaking. They're selling churros. They're selling tacos. They're selling clothes. They're selling shaved ice with the fruit. You know, they're selling. I mean, they're selling all this good stuff, man. And
Was
I
it
didn't
good?
stop, but I thought about it.
Oh, wait. So your varsity team, what did they wrestle in this last weekend?
The Coyote Classic.
How'd you guys do?
We won the tournament. I think I'm gonna keep saying this, so I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but our young guys are looking good, man. They're fight and they're getting better. And I think that the shift that I've had as a coach and our coaching staff has had is we're not coaching guys to win. We're not coaching guys to have fun. We're coaching them to get better at wrestling. And our guys are getting better at wrestling. And it's like it's tangible and they're starting to feel it. And like we have a senior who's kind of like actually buying in, and it's great because like something will happen, and like in his mind, he's like, "Oh, I got tired. Like I was exhausted. I felt a little sloppy." I'm like, "Dude, I saw you mat return this tough kid 3 times. I saw you found your turn on top, and you didn't get a leg attack, but you were getting to you're getting to the legs, and you're trying to get to your holds. Like, dude, you are getting better." And then the second time he had a close match against somebody tough, but he kind of widened the gap a little bit. I'm like, you got better since last week when you wrestled this kid, and it went to overtime. Now you shut him out 4-0. Like you're riding it, like you've gotten better at wrestling, man. Like you need to like recognize it. You've gotten better. So why are you getting better? It's like, well, you're paying attention, you're applying things, you're asking questions, you're eating the right things, and all that stuff kind of lines up.
Yeah, no, 100%. Did you guys blow the tournament away, or was it fairly close?
They did it weird. So they did everything on paper, and they at first on track they combined the boys varsity and there was a girls tournament going on at the same time. They combined it. They combined the scores. Yeah, no, it was goofy. So on that with our girls team, because we had 2 finalists and then a few third and fourths and then some other placers. Like we like kind of blew everybody out of the water. Mm-hmm. But then when you broke it down, like I think we won by like 10 or 15 points, but then we also didn't bring everybody. And then we had some guys that, still trying to figure out the starters for weight classes. So we doubled up at some, but yeah, I think we competed hard. And again, it's like, if we win the tournament, great. If we have fun, awesome. But if we got better at wrestling, that's the goal.
Makes sense, dude. I think you bring up a good point of kind of like highlighting to the kids when they're improving, and so that way they can see it. It's kind of like when you're working out, right? And you start to slowly notice those gains, and when you start to notice it, it motivates you to do more. Now you're like, oh snap! Now you're starting to see it, and like as a coach, that's your job, is to like highlight that and point it out to the kids. And I think that is a huge motivator, and just obviously listening to you and knowing you as long as I have, there's no doubt in my mind that you're doing that. And I've got a chance to watch Sean coach this past weekend and watch some of Sean's guys wrestle as well. that was a fun experience seeing the Big Running Hills guys. I watched quite a few of their matches. Only kids I was really paying attention to be honest. No offense to anyone else's team, but you know,
None taken.
Everett, is that a kid at 106? I can't remember his name. Is he tough?
Sean's kid.
Yeah. Was he wrestled 13s or was he down to weight last
Which
weekend?
kid?
Is he talking
The
about?
transfer from Olympia.
No,
He
he's sitting out. He ain't wrestling
Now,
yet.
right now?
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, when's the date for that?
I think December 26th or 27th.
Okay.
So a couple more weeks and then they'll be back. So yeah, I know he Abram Klein didn't get to wrestle, unfortunately. Would have liked to have seen him, but our starter at 106 currently, who's a freshman, took third. But when Klein comes back, obviously he won't.
What term were you guys at?
The La Costa Canyon Classic, or they call it the Jimmy Hamada Classic. It's pretty good. It's getting pretty tough. It used to be when I was in high school, I wrestled in it. I was in the finals of it twice. It was a really fun 2-day tournament. So it used to be a dual tournament, like way back. And then they turned it into an individual tournament. And when I wrestled in it, Everett, did you wrestle in it?
I did only once.
Yeah. So when we wrestled in it, it was an individual tournament. It was a dual tournament before that, though. And a couple of tough teams would come from back in the day. I really remember Green Valley, Nevada used to come out. And I don't know if anyone listening remembers Sean Cannon. But he was a
Where did he wrestle at?
He was a Green Valley superstar. And then he
University
went
of Northern Colorado.
Yeah, he went to Northern Colorado, and
he was Nick Cannon's cousin, right?
I hate
Yes.
Brian so much. But no, that guy, I mean, that kid was really good. The Green Valley team was really good. I always remember Boulder City, which is I think in Colorado. Yeah, they always come. They were there this year.
Cherokee Trails would come from Colorado as well.
Yep, Cherokee Trail would always come. So yeah, it was always cool to see these other out of state teams come, and that was like I think that was my first tournament as a high schooler, where I was like, oh, like people travel for wrestling, like this is cool, because I hadn't really experienced that. So yeah, over the years it's gotten really tough. I remember my senior year, Selma came down. This is when Selma was like a top 5 team in the state. Who was there this year? Or I'm sorry, last year. So Slam Academy, which is in Nevada, is a really tough.
Oh yeah, I know Slam.
Yeah. So they came out last year. They came out this year. As I'm trying to think of who else was there last year. There's a few tough teams. A couple teams that bring a few really tough individuals. Like Walnut came last year, and they got the Ramirez boys that are really tough, and Fernando Barreto at the time, he's at North Dakota State right now. That's dope. So yeah, they had some tough guys this year. Buchanan kind of split their A team and B team between 2 tournaments. They brought a few A guys and B guys and C guys down to La Costa, and then yeah, it was a good tournament. Saw some really good matches. Got to see Guffey and Cantino have a fun finals match at 152. Got to see some other really good matches. Quintero and Lobato from Lakeside. That was really fun. So returning state champ versus a stud kid from Lakeside. So yeah, it was a good tournament.
Yeah, it was cool to see so many out of state teams. There was more, at least a decent amount more than when we were there, as far as
way more. Is that Bishop Gorman? Where are they from?
Las Vegas.
See, they were there. There was a what was it called?
They're like a K, right? Do you know a team?
They
were from Arizona. Kellis. They were from Arizona.
Arizona. Yeah, they're tough.
Yeah.
God, there was another one. I have the bracket up right here.
Okay,
there was another one that was from out of state.
Yeah, there was a decent amount of Nevada and Arizona teams there, and I think a couple, like 2 Colorado teams as well.
What surprised me was Green Valley was there, but they finished, and they brought a full team. They brought 14 people. They finished in
10th, was it, or was it lower?
21st place.
Oh, 21st.
Yeah, they used to win that tournament like it was nobody's business to be there. Like almost like dual meet status in the finals. So that was interesting. Kellis, Arizona was there. Let's see. Got Boulder City. You got Slam, Buchanan, Cherokee Trail, Bishop Gorman. Yeah, just really fun to get all these guys out there and compete, you know. And then Centennial, that was the one I was thinking of because their colors are baby blue and black, just like granite. And so I would see one of their kids wrestling and I thought it would be mine. And then I'd walk over and I was like, that's not my kid.
Got again.
Yeah. And their coach picked up after one of my matches with my kids. He picked up my kids' clothes thinking they were like his kids. And I was like, hey, those are mine. Well, they're mine. No. I was like, those are mine. And he was like, oh, he looked at them and he was like, oh, they're the same colors. I was like, yeah, I got confused as well. But no, it was a really good tournament. The only thing that really did suck was that they decided to do 3 mats for the final round for first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Notoriously, they've done a 1 mat spotlight final, which was always awesome. That's what I wrestled there under. Like that's always just been. And I don't know what really led to that this year, but maybe we were running behind slightly, and so they did the 3 mats and
just get this thing going and get the heck out.
Yeah, what time was it when the tournament was over?
See, that's the wrong answer though, Brian, because there was coaches that were saying that, like, man, screw this. I gotta drive. I'm old. This and that. Like, we are not. This is not for us. The experience of the kid wrestling in the finals is not for us. It's for the kid. And every one of us who has wrestled on a spotlight in our day will remember that match for the rest of your life because of how fun, exciting, different that was. And I felt like we're just cheating the kids if we take that away from them.
I understand your philosophy, Sean. And I don't necessarily disagree with it. But I'm going to say this. If we are from out of town and we are heading back that night, we're going to get the heck out. And I'm glad we're doing a 3-mat final.
Stay the night.
But I will say this. I do think for certain events that are distinguished and, fun events, then yeah, I do think it's good for the kids to experience that. But I think it is about the kids, right? And, we want them to get them better and then get them home and so they can recover and things like that too.
I think, a tournament like this one though, like a big 2-day tournament, as Sean pointed out, a lot of tough teams were there. It wasn't, I would say arguably probably the toughest tournament in San Diego.
Maybe, yeah. Oh, for sure. 100%. Yeah.
And like Sean, when I was there as a spotlight as well. I don't know. And all 3 of us have been under the spotlight before. We've all had that experience at least once, if not more times. Well, yeah, more times than once in our careers. And so it does make a difference. And I would say, and I understand the sentiment, like, hey, you're out of town. This is a far trip. You want to get home as soon as possible. But at the same time, part of me is like, as a coach, I would think like, hey, it's going to be a long trip. Like, we're coming down out of town. This is going to be a long tournament. This is a big tournament. I'm prepared to stay the night, or, I'm prepared to have someone ready to drive if need be, like one of the assistants. We figured it out. But, I guess it might be easy for me to say as someone who's not traveling to these tournaments. When I was going to tournaments, they were all local. I was coaching, but still.
You're not really wrong though, Everett, because like we're traveling to Reno, and then we're traveling to Dock B in a couple weeks. And when we go to Dock B, they do a 1 mat spotlight final Saturday night. It's freaking awesome. People get crazy. We're gonna stay the night Saturday, even though it's only a 6-hour drive home. We're gonna just stay the night, get up early Sunday, and get home.
That's what I was saying. I prefer to do that.
The difference with Dock B is that this is like top. You could argue as the hardest tournament in the country. It's definitely top 3.
Ooh.
So these guys are in the finals.
Country, top 3.
Country.
It's definitely the toughest tournament in the state.
I would say in the state, but in the country,
definitely top 3 on the West.
Yeah, it's definitely the hardest. It's definitely by far the hardest in the state. It's harder than the
for
state
sure.
tournament.
Yes, I agree.
As of top 3 in the country, I I don't know about that.
All right. That
Well,
just means you don't know then.
I would say, what would you rank your top three? I mean, obviously we had to throw Iron Man in there, right? That's like a given. But like during your regular season,
The Powerade Beast of the East usually is pretty tough. And then maybe Fargo.
Super 32.
You can say Super 32. I mean, yeah. At some weights, for sure.
I mean, it's
I guess
always going to be it's always subjective as to the weight class because sometimes weight classes are just easier at a certain tournament.
for sure.
But yeah, I mean, no, there's no saying Doc B is an extremely tough tournament. It's insanely tough. I mean, there's a criteria that has to be met for you to even be allowed into the tournament. You can't just show up willy-nilly and think you're going to get to wrestle. You know, essentially it's almost to the point of invite only. But it's definitely, I think, one of the toughest on the West Coast. I think Reno, obviously, this weekend is got a lot of good teams that come to it as well. I would say Doc B has some denser, right? From top to bottom, like it's going to be harder. Whereas Reno, you're going to have some guys at the bottom sides of the bracket that are like super tough, not very experienced guys that just came with their team of 14 kids, right? But at Doc B, like your team isn't bringing 14 guys unless you have 14 guys who are the guys, you know, like you might
like
bring
ranked in
8 guys, 7
ranked in your
guys, 6
state,
guys.
ranked nationally.
Yeah. No, Doc B's tough. It's tough. I think they're allowing us to bring, I think 10 or 12, 10 guys this year.
Right now, you have a lot of guys that are ranked, so I
Yeah.
would imagine that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's guys that we can bring that I think we may or may not. It's just going to depend on where they're at, and yeah, maybe they can win some matches, or maybe they can win the whole thing. That's just going to be depending on what's best for them.
Yeah,
At the end
no,
of
that's true.
No doubt. No, it's definitely a tough one. I mean, like
Are
you
you
did,
gonna go, Everett?
huh?
You're gonna go watch?
I don't know. I went a couple years ago, like before COVID.
You
Was
should
the last
go.
time
You should go.
I was there? Yeah, maybe.
Last year was
Everett,
fun.
go.
Last year was really fun. I had a
Everett,
good
you
time.
should go.
I probably should. Yeah, no, I had a fun time last time I went to the Doc B. You know, it was a fun little tournament. I told Sean I hung out with one of our some mutuals afterwards. Got to watch some good wrestling. You know, it was cool. It was cool to see the finals were so fun. The finals were intense, of course. Like
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but to get back kind of to the point of like the kids and wrestling, I was just gonna say I fully agree with Sean on the sentiment of like you're going to this tournament knowing the expectation and like staying the night. And if I was coaching, that would kind of be my game plan as well. I do understand like wanting to get back home. I understand wanting to save money, but I think that as a coach, if you're running a tournament, you want to make it as fun as possible as well for the kids and make it as great of an experience. And that includes like the spotlight for your finals, giving out cool medals or whatever, a cool trophy, something that kind of makes your tournament stick out a little bit, especially if it's like a tougher tournament. Obviously, there's going to be the easier, weaker tournaments, and we need those as well because you got new kids. They're learning. You can't send every tournament can't be a Doc B or even like a La Costa Canyon, but for those big tournaments, I really do believe that like you should go all out from
You're
make it
right.
as possible.
We talked about this, I think, on episode 1 or 2 about like tournaments giving out different types of medals and stuff. Like Army gave out those military vests with the combat helmet and stuff, and other tournaments give out the belts. Doc B does the cowboy hat. So those are awesome, and those draw people to want to come out there to experience that. Same thing with a spotlight final. If you know a tournament does a spotlight final, it draws you and your team to that tournament. Now, next year, there might be some teams that don't want to go back to La Costa Canyon. Buchanan may be one of them. They might be like, man, that was it was an all right tournament. We walked through it, but it wasn't anything special. There was no spotlight. There was no this. Slam Academy, they went last year, had a spotlight final. This year they didn't. Maybe they decide next year, hey, go somewhere
Maybe
else.
they knew they're not going to have a spotlight this year. We're not going to go. because we just want the
Just telling
spotlight.
you. I mean, the kids like it. It's for the kids. The coaches can be as selfish as they want, but it's not about them.
Hey, question, Sean. I didn't see this, but did they give out the little coins again this year? Is that what they?
Yeah, they do the coins, which is cool. I always like the coins, and then
Do you have your coin? Did you win it?
yeah, where is it? It's
You
right there.
talking to a ghost back there?
No, it's on the wall. It's like in a
Let
shadow.
me ask you this, Sean.
It's in
I
a
haven't
shadow
been to your
box.
house.
You've
I haven't
what?
been to your house. Do you have a trophy room or a trophy case?
No, I have like a shadow box with my medals from my senior year in it.
Okay. You don't have like you have like a crap, like a chest or like a box you just pull your shit in. That's right, crap.
No, it's a shadow box, Brian.
What's a shadow box?
Do you want me to just grab it for you?
It sounds like there's a box of shadows. Like
Sounds like you're gonna have to drive down to San Diego if you want to see it.
all right. Well, I mean, you're just, sometimes you're always just too busy to hang out.
That's not my fault.
When was the last time you hung out with Sean? You guys live in the same
We
city?
just hung out on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday.
Before Saturday. Before that.
I saw you at
I saw you before that, like recently though.
yeah,
Because we were talking about New Year's, remember?
We've been hanging out a lot, Brian.
All right, I'll
I'm trying to remember where I saw you, but I saw you pretty recently. What were we doing? Oh, it was at the baby shower.
At the baby shower, yeah. We were
Yeah, I saw you at the baby shower. That
you
was
weren't
pretty
there.
recent.
You weren't there, Brian.
All right, so let's talk about how weird San Diego is. So why do you guys call your section tournament? Why do you call it CIF?
No, we call it Masters.
No, what's CIF then? What's CIF?
That would be your guys's what's before Masters for you guys. Section. So we call
state. If I'm going to call anything CIF, it would be state because it's the entire CIF organization that is our governing body for our high school.
Right.
So why do you call it CIF and not like sectionals or regionals or whatever?
I'm gonna go on a straight up guess because I don't have a educated answer for you. I'm gonna say that because San Diego was so bad at wrestling at one point that they just said that was CIF. It made them feel better so that when they would talk about their kids to other coaches from other sections, they thought that they had state placers.
He got fifth at CIF.
Yep.
That is definitely not the case, but he is.
Sounds like a bro science kind of answer.
I was gonna say because you got to remember that we call it that for other sports too, though. Before they get to like state and stuff, like it's still. Like,
it's division. It's the divisional round. It's the division.
Yeah, so like every
Everett's right. Everett's right. We do that because football just
they
won
call it
CIF and
basketball.
Now we're on to the state tournament.
No, football just won state.
Yeah, Lincoln.
I'm talking about a couple weeks ago, like Granite Hills football and
Granite Hills football won Division II Single A state.
Yes, but two weeks before that, they won CIF.
That's dumb.
Yeah, so all the sports we call that for all the sports. I had to take an educated guess.
Dumb people.
Don't hate the
all
player.
Your arguments from here on
don't
out.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Have an asterisk next to it.
I'd say if I had to take an educated guess on why, I would say probably because the CIF governing board in San Diego, I don't know, they're full of themselves. They run things a little differently, so they named the tournament.
You said they're full of themselves?
Yes, I'm saying it. They can come after me. They don't have my address or my number.
Not yet.
But how did they get it?
Not yet.
If you are the governing body for San Diego and you want to know this man's address, what kind of car he drives, what his house looks like, and his phone number, I have all those details and his email.
I'm linking
he does have my
and who his boss is.
Putting a URL to your LinkedIn in the bio.
Everett, do you feel like you might be stalked after this?
That want to be what? Oh, stalked?
Well, I'm not asking if you want to be. Do you feel like you will be?
I would imagine. I hope not. I don't know.
Oh, I thought it's like
I have a secret though. I'll tell you guys something that I do very well. It was actually a funny thing I brought up at work. Speaking of stalking, so I work with a lot of older people. And we do a lot of talking about like security, right, on the internet because we are working in tech, and like that's a big focus all the time. And every meeting, that's the big focus. Don't tell my boss, but I like halfway pay attention through all the security stuff because like in my head, like it's all like basic knowledge, you know? Like I grew up, we're at the age where like you grew up
It's
knowing.
common sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But when you're older, it's not because you didn't grow up with the internet. You didn't grow up with computers like that, right? And so it was funny because this is like very recently. So they're talking about how you get all those spam emails, right? And one of the older guys is talking about like how he unsubscribed from it. And then he got even more spam emails and they were like talking about like how that works. And I was like, and I always quiet during the meetings. Like I never say anything unless someone like says something to me directly. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let you guys in on like my little secret for dealing with this. I was like, honestly, I just ignore them. I just ignore all the emails. I was like, that's it. If I get an email and it looks weird, I just don't respond. I don't send anything. I ignore it. I don't unsubscribe. I just don't. I ignore it. And I was telling them that the thing is, you know, when you get those emails and if it is a scam, they're asking to unsubscribe and you do that, like now they know this is a real email and then you get more emails. And I was like, when I first worked there, I would get those too, but then I would ignore them all. And then they just stopped sending me scam emails because like, well, this guy doesn't reply to anything. And I was like, so now you guys know I don't reply to emails. I don't reply to text messages. I don't reply to phone calls. And then like one of the old people was like,
You
that's
have a
so mean.
spam folder, man.
You do have a spam folder, but things sometimes slip in, and I just don't reply to anything. Like if it looks a little bit weird, I literally just leave everyone and everything on red. And so if my number leaks and CIF tries to get a hold of me, if I don't know them and it's just a weird number, I'm gonna look at it. I'm like, oh, I don't know that number. I'm just gonna put my phone down and go
That's what
back
you're
to
gonna
it.
do, huh?
Here, I'm gonna show you guys something. This is bad. This is actually bad. But if you guys look at my, oh, you guys can't see it actually. Um,
What
there's
is
a
that?
big, there's a big number where
How
my
many is that?
Oh
phone
wait,
is-
no. Look at we're looking at your background.
He has like
oh,
30 missed calls.
How many missed calls do you have, dude?
the missed call, the voicemail. It's like 100. I just haven't. I'm just lazy.
Oh my god.
It's 110 to be exact.
Dude, they literally made we've been trying to reach you regarding your car's extended warranty. That's about you, Everett, because they've been trying to reach you for so long.
Like your health insurance is like, hey, somebody just trying to claim something, if you die, like, is this you, man?
Your dog.
Dude, every time I think like you're no longer a kid, I'm like, dude, he bought, he owns a home. He's got a car, he's got a really good job. Like he's finally grown up, dude. Nope.
Nope.
Don't answer you don't check your voicemails.
Nope.
If honestly, if it's someone I know and I miss the call, I'm just gonna call them back, and I won't listen to the voicemail. People always say like, "Oh, did you get my voicemail?" I say, "No," because I just call you. I'll just call you back. I won't listen to the voicemail ever. That's another fun fact. If you leave me a voicemail, I will not listen to it. I'll just call you back if I know you, and if I don't know you, well,
Next time, dude. Hey, when we see Everett, Sean, dude, and we're together, all three of us, we're gonna listen to all of his voicemails together.
Dude, there's probably gonna be some moments where he's like, "Oh wow, I didn't call
Oh.
this person back."
Like this was the last thing they
That's
said to
why
me
Karen
before
never
I died.
texted me back.
Oh man, I wouldn't be surprised if one of them slipped through somehow. Like, there's a lot in here.
Sometimes things just slip through, huh, Everett? They slip through, they slip in.
Brian, where you guys are wrestling at Zinkin this weekend?
Yeah, well, I don't want to overlook the duel.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
Sorry.
we have Zinkin this weekend.
South duel tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And then Zinkin this weekend. Is Zinkin Friday, Saturday, or just Saturday?
Friday, Saturday.
Who hosts it?
They're gonna do a 2-mat final. And last year they started at 45s and 52s and then went like that. So 52s mat went up and then the 45s went down. 2-mat final.
Okay. I kind of like
and
I
if
like
you
when
win,
they go heavyweight 125.
Yeah, that's what they end on.
All right.
No, heavyweight and 106.
Or 106. Yeah.
Idiot. So dumb.
Idiot.
You are so
Hey, it's at one of the Clovis schools, right?
Probably because you're from San Diego.
Who hosts it?
Yeah, what Clovis is it at? Is that
Buchanan.
North? Or is
Oh,
that
Buchanan.
Buchanan? Okay, got it.
That's where it was last year.
Yeah, it's a good tournament. It's good. It's good.
I know,
Good tournament.
We're considering coming next year.
Well, let me advertise for it. Last year they used to have a buckle because Doc B had the cowboy They had the buckle. So part of what I wanted to do actually this year for our JV
It's the
tournament is have
boots.
cowboy boots.
Yes.
That you can get all three, but it'd be really hard, like, to plan ahead for shoe sizes and be really expensive.
Why don't you
And
do flannels?
flannels.
Yeah.
But what's like another? But Spurs? What about Spurs?
Ooh, Spurs would be
Spurs
cool.
actually could work because you just put them
Golden
on your boot.
Spurs.
Yeah.
Dude, you get
That'd be dope.
Spurs.
Oh, no. I got it. Way better than Spurs. Spurs are pretty cool, but this is more practical.
Lasso?
No. Come on, Brian. Be mature. A bolo tie.
A what?
A bolo tie.
A polo tie?
A bolo tie.
With B.
A Zolo tie?
Oh my god. Brian doesn't know what a bolo tie is.
What's a polo tie?
Oh my god. He's from
Is that
Santa
just a
Cruz.
thin tie?
He's from
for a
Santa
polo?
Cruz, everybody. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to think. Okay, I think the tie would be probably like the easiest one to do, and you wouldn't have to worry too much on that.
Spurs are cool, dude. I'd
The
rather have
Spurs are
Spurs than a
cool though.
tie.
No, the Spurs I think would
I
be
didn't say
cooler.
Spurs weren't cool.
I think
You
the
just
Spurs would
said
be.
you had a better idea.
I said my idea was more practical.
It's definitely more practical. Definitely.
Thank you, Everett.
I don't even know what kind of tie you're talking about.
That's because you're from Santa Cruz. World's
I was
best
saying-
lemonade.
What are you talking about, man?
I think that
Hey, fun fact, I've lived in Bakersfield longer than I lived in Santa Cruz.
Fun fact, go on to Google and type in bolo tie.
With a B.
BOLO.
BOLO. I'm going to share my screen.
do it.
That way, dude, I'm not the only one that doesn't know what that is. Bolo tie. Oh, what is this?
Dude, that is fashion.
Oh, that actually looks good.
Yeah, that is
I would
sick.
wear one. Oh, yeah, I know what this is.
Yeah, I know you knew what it was. You just didn't know what it was called.
You would like this one, huh?
But dude,
Hey,
would that
what's
be
your
sick?
what's your birthstone, Sean?
I think it's a toe. Is it a topaz? Topaz? I don't know.
Do we have the same one?
November.
Topaz. Everett, what's your birthstone?
I believe it's Sapphire, if I remember
Oh,
correctly.
sapphire.
That's
What's your
believe it.
sign, Everett? Aquarius?
Sagittarius.
Oh, me too.
Oh, that's right. Sag gang.
Sag gang, dude. Sean and I, Sag gang. Yeah.
No, we're Sag gang. You're not a Sagittarius, Sean.
Yeah, I am. November 22nd is the first day.
Oh, you make the cut, man.
I made the cut.
We're all
He starts it off,
Sagittarius.
dude. Yeah, no, Sean starts it off.
Dude,
Sagittarius.
that should be the name of our podcast now. The Sagittarius Wrestling Show.
Wait, so Brian, who else? What tough teams go there to
To the Zinkin.
the Zinc?
All the track schools. Last year there was a team from I think Washington. There's gonna be a few that I'm missing. There's some southern section schools that are there, I think. Can't think of the top of my head. Bakersfield schools. Even that right there, that's a pretty dang good tournament.
So I'll tell you about Reno. What's going to be really interesting about that tournament is they're doing the weight classes that are going to be implemented next year.
Oh, wait,
So
there's new weight classes?
Is that call confirmed?
I'm pretty sure it's confirmed. If you didn't know, Willie Smalls, aka the greatest mind in wrestling, he just updated his.
He's so I like his ideas, but he is so arrogant sometimes.
Oh,
His
extremely.
tweet today is like it's like yes, I'm not an idiot. No, I'm not an idiot. And then
Yeah.
it clicked on it, and he's like, "You guys are all idiots."
Yes. So he updated his national rankings today after Ironman with the results, and he himself changed his rankings over to the new weights as well, because that's where they're going to be. It sounds like nationwide. It stays the same, 106 all the way up to 138 stays the same. And then it gets a little bit weird.
It's 44, 50, 57,
Yes, sir.
65,
Yep.
70, something weird.
75.
And then 90.
Yeah, 190. That is
Wait, what?
crazy. 175 to 190.
That is why.
So if you think about it, what is the average size of a high school dude?
I think it's 150 to
It's
160.
concentrated in the middleweights. This would have helped us actually last year for our guys. because we couldn't
Yeah.
cover the upper weights because COVID kind of depleted our numbers a little bit, and then we would have had a probably better dual team actually if we could have fit everybody in.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, so you have now 150, 157, 165 instead of 152 and 160. So I get it, but it does suck for those heavier teams that do get a lot of big guys. I am not one of those teams. I don't have a lot of big guys. So for me, I'm like, this actually is kind of cool. But for a team that's got like
our team, man, like we have a
guys.
lot of youth. We have a lot of youth at our upper weights and some pretty talented guys. I don't know what's going to happen in the next few years. They're going to probably have to wrestle off for some spots. We're going to have to really plan their weight like months in advance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it goes 190, then 215, and then regular heavyweight. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I got a couple guys moving weights around for this weekend. It's going to be different. It's going to be, some guys are cutting kind of hard. Some guys aren't. So it's going to be interesting. I'm excited.
Well, so Sean, our freshman year, and then Everett, I want to say it was your junior or sophomore year. We wrestled. It was your junior year. We wrestled under the older weight classes.
Yes. Yeah.
When I wrestled 40s, 140.
Yeah, I was a 119/1, I guess 12-pounder. I started off at 19s and then dropped down when the weight changed.
Yeah, I wrestled
119.
119. Yeah.
Willie wrestled 119 too.
I mean, they say I'm the second greatest mind in wrestling behind me.
Sean, I didn't realize you and I.
You weren't there. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead, Everett.
No, I was just. I didn't realize Sean and I were the same weight that year. Well, I guess it was only for a little bit, actually.
Yeah, it was my first year wrestling, and I wasn't very good.
Yeah. Well,
you were a junior, Everett, so I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, I was a 19s for a long time.
Everett would have gave me the business. I remember watching Everett when I was a sophomore. He was a senior in high school, and he wore double white knee pads.
I knew you were going to say that.
I was like, this guy.
And he just I bet he would walk around like he would have in a chin cup, it'd be here, and then you had tornado headgear and white.
I thought Everett was the sickest dude, and then I got to college, and I was like, what?
Everett was my first friend in Bakersfield.
Dude, I remember.
He was my only friend.
Huh?
Yeah, Sean had a rough little start there for a little bit. I was the one person that
talk about that.
I love Sean. No, all I was gonna say is we're not gonna go into that stuff. I was just gonna say that I was always, when Sean first got there was a lot of me being like, nah, dude, I'm telling you guys, that's my boy. He's gonna do good. He's gonna be fine. For like the
I remember that, dude. You're so dumb, Sean. So dumb.
And I remember Brian. I remember when you first came. I remember when you first came as well. I had a little panic attack, but when you first got there as well, and I found out that you were gonna be staying with me, and Coach was like, "Hey, Pratt, I'm going over to your house right now."
When did Orozco's gonna listen to this, and he's not gonna know the details? Maybe when we have him on, maybe you can join us, Everett, and we can talk about it. We'll spill the beans.
No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
We'll spill the beans. So when did you find out? When did he tell you? When did he tell you that I was gonna be staying with you?
The day that you moved in.
Wait, did he call you? And then it just pulled, because you guys were working for Ed Thomas.
Yeah, we were working for Ed Thomas, and if I remember, I can't remember if he called me, if he had stopped by, but either way, I found out that same day, and like he told me he was gonna be going by the house to like.
Ryan had to sleep on the nastiest couch.
Yeah, and Cha lived.
Sometimes I just didn't sleep. If DJ Sammy Cervantes wanted to perform that night, I wasn't sleeping, man. It would be like a Wednesday night. It's like I gotta wake up early, and like I'm just surviving practice at this point. I'm constantly sweating. You guys know how I sweat. And freaking the front window by my couch was broken, so I got none of the AC. I'm just constantly just sweating. My acne is real bad, and then Sammy would just come in and he would be like, bump, 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 bump.
We would get home from practice and
Sammy he would just abruptly end it, like, "Ha, true," and then he would just grab his stuff and leave. Like, dude, it's like 12 a.m., man. I'm trying to go to bed.
You remember that? We
I
would
need to wake
literally
up and
come
get my
home
ass
from
beat tomorrow.
practice. And he would already be started. Like we would come home from practice, and this fool would just be like going at it. Like when we would get home. Interesting times, dude.
I remember Brian and I, because we had a roommate who had a crazy pit bull dog. There was an island in the middle of the house, and Brian and I would run around the island, and it would chase us. And then we
Well,
would have to
Stan had
jump.
those boxers too.
We'd have to jump onto the island to avoid getting eaten.
Dude, and so Miguel Compron, his dog Zane, and then Sam had Bella and was it Bolt?
Bolt.
Dude, so that was like what we do during the day. This was nothing else to do. It's PI, so we're just getting into shenanigans, and we'd rile them up and then jump on the island so they couldn't get us. Dude, and freaking
That was
Zane got my butt cheek once and ripped a giant hole in my shorts.
Dude, the one thing I used to hate was like Zane would slobber everywhere. The couches were so nasty.
Oh yeah, the whole house was gross.
Like
Dude, it was a
slobber.
grody house, man.
It was so
grody, man.
I wonder if it's still there. Is the architectural building the same? And if
Next time, hey,
so,
for state, we should go to that house and just knock and be like, "Oh, hey, we used to live here. We just want to come visit."
No, we should not do that.
I remember when we moved out of that house and we were like, yeah, we'll probably get like half of our deposit back. And then they were like,
You owe us money.
you owe us
You
like
didn't pay a deposit, Sean.
you owe us like $1,500.
No,
You
Sean and I
paid
worked it
the
out where we were
deposit.
like, it's unfair for us to pay as much as like our other roommates. We were like, that's like BS.
No, but we paid the initial deposit.
we did.
You
Yeah.
didn't.
Yes, I did.
We
Are you
did.
talking about for River Mist or are you talking about Keith Way?
Keith Way.
Sean did.
You
Yeah.
made him pay the deposit?
Yeah, which was a terrible idea because I came into a house that was already trashed.
Dude, no. That was dumb. That was dumb on your part, bro.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like,
I can't remember
dude,
exactly how we did.
I don't know how long I'm gonna be here. Dude, that's your
I like
deposit. I'm
gave
not giving you
Mike
that money.
because I took Mike's room, so I gave Mike his deposit money back.
That's
Yeah.
dumb. Like,
That's
no,
how it
Mike,
worked, yeah.
if we leave, you can get that money back. I'm not giving you the money.
Yeah.
I just
I'll pay
remember
rent,
like
that's it.
when we were trying to figure out like we owed like a decent amount.
It was like
And
$2,000.
Yeah, and they wanted to split it like evenly, and Sean and I were like, no way we're splitting that like evenly between the four of us when
Yeah, it caused some tension, but
it did.
But in the like ultimately we were right because two of the individuals of the four lived there significantly longer than the other two. So why would we split the amount that is owed to the house? So that just didn't make any sense. And a lot of the issues that were owed to the house had nothing to do with me.
You're the last one there, man. That's your
Two of
responsibility.
the other
bro.
issues and like two other people had animals and pets that made a lot of messes versus Sean and I who had no pets and
I remember that they wanted like it was like $400 for the garage door that because it didn't work, and I was like, it never worked when I got here. Like,
Yeah.
Why do I owe $400 for this?
I remember that.
What about the window?
The house was a disaster.
You know what house wasn't a disaster though? Our last house when Sean
Oh,
and I
that was
Dude, that was a
that
fun
was
house.
that was on me because I found that house.
Sean did find it. Do you remember when we were searching for houses?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know
that
who
was
helped me search for houses was Jesus Ambries. He and I had a spreadsheet going back before like Google Docs was a thing. I think we were using Excel. We
You're
were
so
just
dumb.
we were just excelling up houses like freaking column left, column right, putting houses and addresses and URLs and stuff. And we were like, this one's cool, this one's cool. And that house was freaking awesome.
Remember when we had 9 people living with us?
I do. I remember when you got really mad because Dylan Bollinger carved his name into the wood table and you wanted to fight him.
I remember
Sean,
there was a
you
couple of
kidding?
times where I almost had fights with Dylan. I think everyone fought Dylan at one point or another. If you were on the team, you weren't on the team if you didn't get in a fight with Dylan. Let's just say that.
You fought Dylan multiple times.
He punched me in the back. No, he punched me on top of the head during study hall, and this was in
Oh
the
my
whole
God.
back in the study room. And I won't. I mean, it was on me. Like he was saying like some silly stuff, and I was
You were saying silly stuff.
I was saying some things,
You were singing a song.
Not so nice. But he
You were
was
just
I don't want to get in the story, but it was funny because it was such a small room and like everyone was in there and he was on the other side and it was like yeah, he literally was like if you say that again, I'm gonna punch you. And I'm like yeah, and I say it, and he's like, "Rrr," and he gets up, and he has to like squeeze past like 3 people because they got their chairs up against the wall, and he goes like, "Are you mother?" He's like, "Excuse me, excuse me, excuse me." And I'm like laughing, but like I can't move because I'm trapped up against the wall too. I'm like, oh, and he's mad, so I cover up, and he just like punches me on the back of the head a couple times. And then I think that was it. And like everyone was kind of laughing, but also like, okay, like chill. And then the freaking tutor opened the door. And obviously he couldn't open it all the way because all the chairs were there. And he's like, "What's going on here?" And I'm like, "Nothing." But he's dude, like the reason that like me, Sean, and Dylan were like the freshies, the freshie squad, is because like frankly, what I think unites people together, like especially guys, me personally, is sense of humor. Like we just had fun, man. Like we're having fun right now. It doesn't take much.
No, we had a good click, and then yeah, it was a lot of
People
fun.
quit.
What?
Then people quit and got kicked off.
People got kicked off, that's for sure.
Yeah,
People
we
got
lost
kicked
some.
off, and then
We
people
lost some
quit.
people. We did.
A lot of
And it
people
was
got
just
a
me
lot
and
of people
Sean.
got kicked off
Me and Sean Nickel were the last
because
ones.
because I was even telling a story this past weekend about Brian and his orbital.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, I told that today actually.
I told that I think this past weekend.
Oh, really?
I forgot how that came. Oh, so man, I forgot how that came up. So I was talking with the head baseball coach at our school because he works as a special ed teacher, and yeah, we were talking about like injuries and stuff, and I was like, oh, I ended up like I broke my orbital, and he's like, oh, was it wrestling? I was like, kind of. It was in the wrestling room before practice, like if that counts.
I was telling the story, and then I just the most fun, like the funniest part about the story is that Brian's on the ground. He's like visibly in pain, holding his face. The rest of us are standing around like, come on,
Like
dude.
laughing, dude. That was kind of
Like,
funny.
like, get up. We're laughing. Like, we think it's funny. We're like,
Can I tell you
jokes.
what happened before?
And then Brian, come to find out, Brian has a broken orbital. And we were all just like downplaying it like it was no big deal.
Dude,
I remember that.
So we're playing. Everett, were you in the room?
I got there right after it happened. Like as I was walking in the room, Kyle was walking out. So I saw Kyle and he was walking like head down like this. And I was like, that's weird.
Like I
What's
said,
wrong with Kyle?
like
Yeah.
he was immediately like, I messed up.
Yeah. And I was like, that's weird. I saw Kyle. And so Kyle and I walked past each other and I was like, well, that's weird. What's wrong with Kyle? And then I came in the room and I saw you on the ground and I was really confused. And then I think Araska was the one that told me what happened.
Yeah, so we're playing butts up and things are getting chippy and a little lippy.
With the tennis
and
ball.
we were playing we played that for a while. Like that was just what we would do before practice. We'd play
That's a
like
fun
spike ball or
game.
play a game or
I remember,
I
yeah.
have one of you trying to do a backflip off the wall, Sean, and he goes, and you freeze and fall on your back.
That's a classic.
Dude, cameras in that room made it special.
Oh
They
yeah.
weren't used for rewatching practice. But so we're playing butts up and I'm throwing the ball. We were playing like if you threw it and hit somebody, they have to run up too as well as you if it doesn't make it to the wall. So Kyle and I, we were getting kind of chippy and I tried to throw it at him as hard as possible. And then I was going to run and touch the wall. So he, as I release the ball, he turns and he faces me and it hits him right in the nuts. And I'm like I'm not like sprinting. So I don't even I don't see his reaction. I go up and touch the wall and then I do like a slow turn. So he covers his nuts. He gets really upset and he goes like 0 to 100. He does full crow hop and just unloads. And I like turn and it's like slow-mo. And I don't react. Like I'm in shock. Like I'm not in like fight mode. I'm like, hi, I got you, sucker. And like I go touch the wall. I just like slow turn. I'm like, is he really gonna hit me? And it just goes And I'm like, ow. And I remember saying ow, and I covered my eye and I dropped down to a knee. And then he walks off. Everyone's like kind of smiling, laughing. And I do this. My eyes like immediately swollen shut, and blood is just dripping down my face. And they're like, oh, I think he's actually hurt. And like, I was nuts, dude. Like, they sat me out the rest of practice.
You didn't
I'm
go to the
like
hospital
throwing
right
up,
away?
like on the way to the car. The
Did you
Penachecks
take
give
an
me a ride
ambulance?
home. And then I'm almost to my house.
No.
And Matt was like, he gets a call from Roscoe, like, hey, you should probably take him to the ER. Go to the ER and, end up needing surgery and all that stuff. But it was funny.
Jeez. That's
Yeah.
insane. I watched the whole thing happen, and I just remember being like, man, that's after we found out about the orbital, we were like, wow, that really sucked.
Yeah, dude. I remember being upset with you, Brian, actually, when it happened. Like, when I heard what happened, I remember being a little bit upset with you because in my head, I was like, Brian, you should beat him. Like, beat the.
Yeah, should go fight him.
Honestly, in my head, there was a lot of times when you were a freshman that I would look at you and in my head be like, Brian, you should just fight this person. Like, in my own head, there was pretty much with Adam and that one time with Kyle. There was a lot of times with Adam where I was like, nah, dude, Brian.
Yeah.
I never said it. I've never said it, but in my head, I'd be watching, and in my head, I'd be like, nah, dude, you should just throw a punch.
My thing was, it was always don't fight. Like, fight to defend yourself. Like, don't fight. And it was more because, like, for one, like, I don't want to fight and then get in trouble and then not be able to do stuff. I understand, like, pride and all that stuff, but for me, like, it takes strength to freaking not fight somebody when you know you can fight somebody. Like, I know I can fight. I know I can do that. But it's like, do I need to beat somebody up just to show that I'm tough and I can handle it? No.
I
That's
agree.
not
It's funny
fair.
though, because like now that I'm older, like I'm definitely like the exact opposite of that, I would say. But I think it's ironic though, because like that was like in my head watching that would be like what was going on through my mind, like, nah, dude, you should just punch that guy. But like, let's be
Well,
realistic.
that's
Did
how
I
our team was.
Well, I was gonna say, like, let's be real. Like, did I ever do that though? So I feel like it's ironic, is what I'm saying, because it's not like I was just throwing punches randomly at people either, though.
You
Like,
and
somebody
Dylan
said something,
just fought each other at the freaking cabin house over a bed. I
God,
witnessed it.
it was Well, he started it. I just had an attitude always of like
Brian and I jumped in a bed and we were like, we're
Dude,
sharing
we
this
need to get
one.
Dylan on to defend himself here.
We're sharing this one. And then Everett's like, I got this bed. Everett leaves. Dylan comes, is like, who's
No,
got this
Sean,
bed?
you always mess up the story, man. Can I
I
tell
didn't
the
mess
beginning
it
of the
up.
story? That's not
I
the
can
beginning
tell
of
the story too, though. I feel like I can tell the story as well.
All right, this is our last story of the night. All right, let's hear
Okay,
Who
it.
should
last
tell it?
story
Should
of the
I tell
night.
it? Should Brian tell it?
Everett, you tell it.
Okay.
How,
So
can I just say the beginning and then Everett, you take over from your side?
yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So Sean and I are first upstairs, and this is in the cabin. This is our team retreat. So we're first upstairs, and there's 3 beds. There's 2 twins on either side, and then there's like a full sized.
It's like
I
a
don't know if
cake
it's a
or a
full.
queen.
It could fit easily 2 people on it. So in my head, I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna have to share a twin. So I grab one, and then Sean comes up, and I'm like, dude, grab the twin, grab the twin. And you're like, all right, cool. So we both have a twin, and then I think Dylan comes up and he's like, oh, dude, I got the big bed. And he puts the stuff down. And that in our minds, we're like, dude, you're going to have to share that bed, man. Like, you're not getting that whole bed.
Yeah.
And then and he goes downstairs. I was there when Everett comes up and he's like, oh, like, this is a big enough bed. Like, who else is sleeping here? And I'm like, well, Sean's on that one. I'm on this one. And then Dylan's the only one that's here right now. And he's like, oh, we can just share this one. And he puts his stuff down. Well, Dylan finds out they shared a bed and he's pissed, dude. And I remember this becomes like a whole team thing. Like, a Roscoe gets involved, the rest of the team comes up, and it's like there's like an arbitration process. Like, a Roscoe's like the judge, and like they're trying to figure out who's exactly good against the bed. And I want to say it comes down to either like rock, paper, scissors or like a coin toss. And it was like heads, like, okay, you guys share the bed. Tails, Dylan just gets the bed. Like, it was no like
Everett's
option. It was either you share or Dylan gets the bed.
Yeah, that wasn't exactly what happened. I mean, tell you my POV on this was like, yeah, you had the beginning right. Like, the bed was there, and I'm in my head, I'm like, yo, we can share this bed. I'm I would like to think that I'm a sharing person, and the thing is, Dylan has come over to my place randomly. Well, I wouldn't say randomly, but he's been over on we'll just say like on a weekend after a weekend out. He stumbles into my room and is like, it just hops in the freaking bed, and I don't like kick him out. I'm just like, whatever, dude, you can share. Like, we can share the bed. And this is like in my own house, in my
I didn't
room.
know there was precedence for this.
There was. Dylan has done it like multiple times, and I never made a deal out of it. Like, it wasn't a big deal to me. Like, I didn't care, And so I'm thinking like, oh yeah, like no biggie. Like, I've let this man, I've shared with him before. It's not a big deal. And so in my head it wasn't, and I guess in his head it was a big deal. And and I'm thinking in my head like, dude, I've like let you like share my bed before, bro. Like, what the heck? I don't see the issue. And also, it's like such a big bed. I didn't see why we couldn't just share. Like, we freaking share all the time. And we put it to a vote, and the team got involved before Roscoe, and the team gave it to me, and I said no, I will still share it. Like, the team voted that I get the bed to myself, and I was like, no, we'll still share. Like, I wasn't gonna. I was like, no, that's cool. I don't need the bed by myself. Like, I'll share. Like, it's a huge bed. And then that's when everything else happened. Of course, like we tried.
Dude,
Dylan
yeah, I
refused to share
forgot
the bed.
exactly. I think Dylan got in there first, and Sean and I like we're both have our backs turned, like trying to be asleep.
No. Wait, don't. You're going too fast, Brian. You're going too fast. So,
Well, I don't want to. I don't want to get
No.
into some of the details.
no, hold
Yeah,
on.
there's some details we should leave out, but
Hold on. So before that, so whenever we do this huge delegation, I don't remember either what we used to do the final determining factor. I don't know if it was a coin flip or a rock, paper, scissors,
It
but
was one of those.
it was ultimately decided that they would share the bed. That you guys would share the bed, and it was done. We
yeah,
went on.
Orozco was the one that did the final. Like, the team voted that I get the bed, and I myself said I would share it, and then Orozco got involved, and when Orozco did whatever, it came to us sharing it.
Right, and then we played games as a team, and we did our retreat
And then
stuff.
it comes time to go to bed, right?
Yes,
And I think
and it
we have
becomes
work
time to
out
go
in
to
the
bed.
morning.
Yes,
And so Dylan's already in the bed, and Sean and I like. I don't know what you were thinking, but I think we were thinking the same thing. Like, dude, this is gonna be fun. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but like, I'm
because
prepared to be
Dylan
asleep.
was
Like, you're prepared
pissed.
to be asleep, and Dylan's in bed, and Everett tries to like crawl into bed, and Dylan's like, "No, like, get off. Like, you can sleep on the floor. Like, I got this bed, bro." And then Everett's like, "No, it was decided that we were gonna share, and I'm getting on the bed." And Dylan's like, "No, if you get on this bed, like, I'm gonna fight you." And
And then
Everett's like, "All right, looks like we're fighting." So they end up like combination like wrestling and then like jujitsu, and then there's some like grunting and like some something going on, and that's when Sean and I just start just dying, bro. Like we were awake the whole time, and we're just hearing this. And we're
It's pitch
just
black.
like,
You
I'm
can't see
not
anything.
intervening because I don't want to get punched in the face. Like, we're just letting this happen. And
Then the bed breaks.
dude, what's funny is that this lasts like the whole night, man. And like I feel like the sun's just barely coming up, and it reaches like this precipice, and the freaking bed breaks, and we just crack. And then Sean and I just both laugh in return, and we just hear Dylan go, "All right, Everett, you can sleep now. You can have the bed."
He immediately gets out of the bed and was like, "It's Everett's fault."
He's like, "All right, you can have the bed, Everett."
Oh my goodness.
funniest thing is, like, I told Orozco, and I didn't even like say it was Dylan's fault. I was like, yeah, dude, sorry, the bed broke like last night. And Orozco was like a little bit bummed at first. He's like, what were you doing? And I was just like, yeah, I don't know. It broke.
We
And I wasn't gonna I wasn't gonna snitch. And then Orozco came and took a look at it, and it wasn't anything serious, and we fixed it. But the funniest thing was like when we were leaving. So Dylan and I rode up together. And that was the funniest part. We were leaving, and Dylan was all mad, and he was like, "Well, you can't ride with me because I think I rode with him, right?" And he was all ticked. He was like, "You can't ride with me, blah blah, make it." And I was like, "What?" And I didn't have anyone to get home with. And Dylan takes my stuff out of the car and like throws it on the dirt. And it turns out I had actually, what he didn't know is I had already grabbed my stuff, and it was his own stuff. He threw it all on the He
How
didn't
did you
know.
think it was yours?
I think because I had grabbed it earlier, he didn't know.
You're like, "That's not my stuff, dude."
because we both had like a plain black bag, but I had already grabbed my stuff and he didn't know that. And so he just grabbed it thinking it was mine and threw it all on the dirt. And then I was like, that's not mine, that's yours. And then he got even more mad, picks it up all mad, puts it back in the car. And Ruben ended up having room in his car. So I rode home with Ruben. But yeah, I was just like, dang, that's kind of messed up because he's definitely slept in my bed before, that a-hole.
Yeah,
Funny
we could.
thing-
I've got lots of stories. I mean,
I say,
Dude,
yeah,
Dylan
one
was
thing-
so fun,
he-
man.
he stripped a sock off of Brian's foot and then threw it out the window. Or was it Matt Gamble?
Oh, that was Campbell.
Yeah,
he
That was
took
on our
Matt-
way to our first tournament.
He ripped
I
his
forgot.
sock off and threw
Campbell
it out
needed
the
a
window.
stretch or something. So he puts up his foot by Dylan, and Dylan's like, "Get your foot out of my face." And I think dude, there's so many stories we have, man. Like,
I was such an
we don't have time
instigator.
for all these stories, but okay. So Dylan freaking grabs it, throws it out the window, and then Matt tries to like start joking him. Dylan pulls over, and they just like fight in the backseat for a minute.
Hey, as I said earlier, if you did not get in at least one fight with Dylan, were you really on the team? That's the
Yeah.
It's funny
Hey, when we get a Roscoe on here, Everett, I think it'll be fun if you're on here too. And then we got to talk about the Reno trip.
Yeah.
Dude, that's
Yeah.
one of my.
We'll
and
save
then we
that
can
for
talk
Roscoe,
about the
yeah.
Matt return versus getting that return thing too.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say the funny thing. Speaking of Sean, not Orozco and Sean at Reno, but I said one thing Sean once told me. I forgot what we were doing. We were hanging out, and I was like, dude, if I had $1 for every time I've said to someone way bigger than me, like, I don't care, I'll fight you, because someone like was trying to start something. Sean was like, you would have surprisingly a lot of dollars.
That is true.
Well, you have like a jiu-jitsu background too.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu, judo,
You're
and
pretty strong too, man.
yeah, and Muay Thai. It was funny one time with remember Coach Severa, like we were in the room, in like the little coach's room, or whatever, the Stephen Neal room, and Severa was throwing some punches at me, like joking around, and I threw like a quick combo back, and he was like, "Oh shit, I didn't know you actually knew how to do that."
Oh, okay, never mind. I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I used to do jiu-jitsu, judo, Muay Thai, and then obviously you guys know I wrestled too, but yeah, I don't know, which is probably why there's a lot of times where I would say I don't care anytime anyone was like, try to fight me. I was always like, I don't care. But I feel like I never started anything. I mean, you guys can decide, but I feel like I did a good job of not starting stuff.
I
But
agree.
you did finish it.
I mean, I
Just
tried.
like this podcast, boys. It's been a while.
I
It's been fun. We've been having fun. Everett, you have any final words?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It was really cool. You guys are both, in my opinion, really close friends of mine. I hope you feel the same way. And so it's always fun to catch up. I mean, I saw Sean recently and I saw him, last month, but still it's good to see Sean. Brian, I talked to you very recently, but I haven't seen your face in a while. So it's always good to catch up. And I can't remember the last time the three of us all together were talking at the same time or saw each other. So, it's
do
been
a,
yeah,
We
it's
do
been
an
fun.
in-person podcast in the weekend of Dark B.
Yes.
We did that.
If I'm there, we can do that.
I'm
We'll
already
see. We'll
down.
see. But yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. Had a lot of fun. It is 9:30. I'm gonna go to bed. I got a gingerbread building contest tomorrow. I need
Oh my god.
gingerbread.
Dude, we need to end. Everett, just need to stop, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna say something and it's gonna be like, I want to rip you for that.
Hey, I'm
So
having a
I
competition.
also I have things I need to do before I go to bed. So
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go to sleep too. I gotta make sure I'm ready for my competition. I'm gonna win.
all
Best
right. Well,
gingerbread
good
house.
luck with your gingerbread building house building competition thing.
All right.
Everett.
Later, guys.
All right.
Later, guys. Good night. Love y'all.
Love y'all.